What is up, guys? It is Garrett from Third Gen Aquatics. Today we have something special planned. We're going to be, I'm not going to get too much into it, but we're going to go visit somebody who is near and dear to my heart and check out their collection. Finally, long and overdue. So, with that being said, off we go. All right, everybody, we are finally at the destination and we have our guests. Well, I am the guest, actually. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
This is the man. This is Pops. You guys heard about him a lot. So that being said, let's get into what he has.
Hi, everybody. This is my fish room in the basement here. We have our showcase 125 here with our Central American cichlids. We have somewhat more of a river setting in this with the rocks and the wood, and everybody's hungry, so we're probably gonna feed them here in a little bit.
It's a beautiful layout. I love
thank
the
you.
landscape.
Yeah,
Set up the rocks.
this one really came together nicely. I'm filtered with a FX6
Okay.
on this side and a custom-made overhead sump on this side. This one I made out of a 5-gallon tank.
Okay.
Just to kind of try my hand at the first go-around of sump manufacturing. But I love the fluidized media that's floating around on it. Like, that's mesmerizing to me. So
and I know
a
lot of people definitely love that.
Yeah,
too.
I
That's
don't
a neat
know.
thing to see.
Something about it. I love watching it roll around almost as much as I like the fish. Just less personality. A bunch of orbs rolling around. But that's been great. The filtration's been really good on this. The
Water's
stocking,
crystal clear. It's beautiful.
the stocking is some red spotted gold severums. You've probably seen a couple of the shorts here and there. They're kind of my pride and joy with some of this. And
for the people who don't know, which ones are those?
That's these orange guys here. This is Biggie, and this is Kenny, and this is Dolly. And these two are a mated pair. They've laid eggs for me a couple times. They haven't done so in the community tank, which thankfully I don't have the space to do all that right now. But I have this guy is not, he's going the wrong direction, but Tang is the blood parrot cichlid here, Tang, and the Oscar, the lemon tiger Oscar. He's Cliff. We have the Jack Dempsey. His name's Onyx.
Now, some of these fish that he was talking about, he does have tattoos of, which is super dope.
Oh, yeah.
Super neat.
Yeah.
Thing.
I have, Onyx is here. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's Onyx, and that's Biggie in up here. And we've got some future plans for Discus, which we're gonna have some changes happening in here. But then I have Starboy, my Starry Night, up top. Sylvie is my rainbow cichlid. She's down here. Some wild caught blue acara, so natural blues.
Where did we get those from?
We got those from Fishing Friends in Hanover.
Yep.
And I loved them because they're not the typical electric blue that everybody gets, and they had more of an angelic kind of silvery tone to them. And since I put them on the dark substrate, which this is black diamond blasting sand, which takes a lot of rinsing, but is a super great, cheap, economical way to get a large amount of substrate in, and the dark substrate just accentuates the colors so nicely. I love that.
I agree. Definitely.
And I have Iliades in here.
Which the Iliades that he actually gave to me. Kind of swapped some fish out here. 2 fish out. We only have 1 with us, but that is okay. Which we will end up seeing that fish probably before too long. But one thing that I did want to say is with these wild caught acaras, they're not something that I really ever knew about until he had them. He actually got me into. I'm getting more into the wild caught things. I know that this is coming from a guy who just bought a flower horn recently, but that is something that I'm having more interest in. And like I said, that is something that I definitely like to watch after is the types of fish that you have added to your tanks and their growth and such.
Yeah,
Definitely really
thankfully, some of the ones that I've gotten young and have raised up have done really well for me. Onyx, the Jack Dempsey's done really well for
Yep.
me. I got him fairly young.
He was a lot smaller.
The Severums I did get it as a slightly older grouping. They were actually the first purchase made at Fish and Friends
Yep.
as they were getting developed and started up. Prior to their opening, they had a grand opening a few weeks later, but I did have the first purchase made as these three guys here. Well, it turned out one was a female. To everybody's surprise, we didn't think that's the way it was going to go, but
yeah.
so we do have the one female, Dolly. I do have a Pictus catfish in here, which was, I believe, your Pictus catfish.
Long time ago.
From the beginning
From
of
the
this whole
beginning.
thing, which
Yeah.
started with a 55-gallon tank,
Oh.
and Garrett moving to a place that wouldn't allow him to have it.
No.
So
I did not know that, but it all worked out, as you could tell.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed, definitely, that it all worked out the way it did.
yeah. Oh, me too.
It's awesome.
This hobby has it's done a lot
Yeah.
for my well-being and mental health, and
Definitely.
our ability to do things together, and then passing that on to the next generation down. It's the generational way of things.
That's the name. Yep.
So
It's definitely neat to see.
it has been quite a journey, and I love it. This is everything.
Yeah.
I enjoy this so much.
Yep.
So from the scaping to the fish to their behaviors to learning and trying new things, and we have a little bit of a breeding situation going on behind me over here, which has been an adventure in itself as well. But we'll show that another time.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. It's definitely super, super cool. When he told me about it, text us in the group chat. We were all excited. I was stoked. It's definitely something you guys are gonna have to come back to see.
And we did want to mention Grady as well, who's doing a lot of my editing stuff here, and we'll hopefully get him involved. He has 3 tanks up in his space. We'll have to get him involved in some of this a little bit more often, but if he said about we're going to put his picture right up here.
Yeah, right. Put his mug right there.
Hopefully you'll see it there, as he's trying to
somewhere.
do some of the editing, but that's our third in the group, and he'll be involved with things a little bit more as we go along, and he got more involved as we got more involved and developed, and he loves to hear the sounds of the water, and it's a very soothing thing. So he's limited on space currently, but he does like to be involved in it. He will be doing a lot of the editing stuff for this as well. So.
And even now, a lot of the things he's behind the scenes with. The logo came from him.
Mm-hmm.
Both times they actually came from him.
Yep.
He's edited a couple pictures for us now, which will be up soon, before too long. So he is working on things, and hopefully before too long he does get in some action.
Yep.
So I think what we should do is, I don't think you cleared all your fish in this tank yet. There's one specifically.
Alex.
Yes.
So the OG angelfish, who is the
underdog.
He is something special because he has survived through some treacherous situations, and he was one of the first fish that I bought because I thought I wanted angelfish. They're very angelic, they're very flowy.
Yep.
I thought that. They've not been very good for me, but he's come and gone through a lot of different things, and he's still hanging on. He's still doing his thing, and coming across here. Come here, dude. There you go. Yeah, there we got a good showing of everybody. We'll throw some food in for him, but this is Alex.
And then what's this one here? This is definitely one of...
That's Sylvie. She is a rainbow cichlid. So she's a rainbow cichlid. She came in and she was quite a bit more light colored. Again, on like a white substrate or a sandy substrate, like a little bit more brownish. She is a little more yellowy to her. And then I got her in here. And she's a bit of a spaz too, which is very fitting because Onyx is also a nutcase here.
Yep.
And so they paired up and they hang out together all the time and they're always zipping around and they're very, very fluid moving fish all the time.
And they're both very eye-catching fish. There's no doubt about that.
We'll throw a little something in here, and because they're being teased at the fact that we're here talking about them and not feeding them. So we're gonna give them a little something to get them going here. A little feeding time on the 125 Central American river tank.
And you can see they're all great eaters. they're very
there
good
you go,
eaters.
guys.
And you're Starry Night too.
Yeah,
getting very, very pretty.
I think he is going to be, he's going to be something special. Now again, I got him very young. He was only maybe 2 inches.
2 inches.
I think when I got him, and he's growing quite a bit already. But he's going to be a showstopper.
I don't know if you're gonna. Oh, here she comes.
Here she comes. That's Hoover. Yeah, fitting.
I don't know if you guys. If
Hoover the Pictus catfish.
That'd be awesome.
So she comes out and cleans up anything anybody misses, which is tough to do in this grouping because they're aggressive eaters.
And again, even going back to your filtration, the way that it keeps this tank so pristine. I looking around, all your tanks are like that. So that's very.
I put a lot of time and effort into it, but yeah, filtration definitely is a big key factor. If you got good water flow, and good filtration, and your chances of success are so much better. Yeah, if you can have all that stuff working together. The FX6 on this is phenomenal, and I know there's people that do 2 FX6s on a 125.
And for people who don't know specifically what a FX whatever that is, it's a canister filter. You've heard me speak about Fluval canister filters before. That's what he has here, and he just obviously has bigger sizes because he has heavier stock tanks, bigger fish. He has a lot going on in this tank, but it is beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot to it, If you're going to have a healthy stocking, you want to have healthy filtration. And there's no such thing as overfiltrating.
No.
I mean, it'll build up all the beneficial bacteria, the nitrogen cycle, all those things will happen, on all of your surfaces. So all the substrate, the sand, the rocks, the wood, the glass, like everything will build up that beneficial bacteria, not just your filtration.
Right.
So then, sometimes you run something that's a little bit more of a polisher.
Right. And
polishing is basically you're taking like the filter floss or the poly material and you throw that into a filter and you just run everything through that. And that'll polish the water and clean up a lot of the detritus or the particles that are floating in the water.
And that's why his tanks always look so well.
That's
a major
That's one of the key factors.
Yes.
Now this tank, there's a little bit of tanning in this tank. In the water, which is the leaching of the wood, the brown in the wood goes into the water column and it creates a little bit more of like a tannish kind of a color.
Right.
And most of this wood I have had for years in the water, so it doesn't do it as much, but there is still some tanning that happens from the tannins in the water column here. So this isn't quite as vibrant as it could be if there wasn't all that in there, but the wood is necessary.
Yes, and I definitely think the lighting of this tank really helps because, as you said previously, the river look theme is kind of what you're doing with the natural flow, and I think that this tint within the water kind of really creates that.
It does,
It really gives the vibe.
It does, and I do love that about it.
Yeah.
Because again, you have more of that like river look.
Right.
I have the FX6 over here, the Fluval.
Yep. The
biggest canister filter that they make, the FX6. That one's blowing out across this way, so I have flow coming across.
Yep.
Over to where the sump is picking up and pouring up into the top. It runs through its chambers, through the fluidized media bed, and then into the soaking media bed. and then it goes back down in, and then there's a wave maker, a dual head wave maker on that side that blows back this direction. And one of them, it's adjustable, so you can adjust one higher, one lower, or both higher or lower, and it's fully controllable. You can go through different, pulses and different things you can do with that as
Right.
well. That'll be one for another time too. All these things we'll get into and we'll showcase a little bit deeper.
Well, yeah, we'll get deeper into a lot of this stuff.
But the cross
no
flow is another thing that really helps, and I don't think is stated well enough in a lot of things
And I was
to
gonna say,
get all the stuff moving around so it doesn't
Right.
settle.
right.
He
definitely, between the two of us, I feel like we definitely know a good amount. I'm not gonna say we know everything, because nobody ever does.
Yeah, we're not going to claim that.
Never. So don't. But what I would like to say is I feel like we complement each other in knowledge and certain things. There's a lot of things I've learned from him, but I feel like certain things I've kind of helped you out with along the way, maybe at first getting started.
Yeah, early on there was a lot of stuff that I was a little hesitant about, and I learned a lot more from you with okay, well, this is what I did, and it worked out great for a period of time that he had it.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things that, okay, well, this worked already.
Yeah.
So if it worked already, I'm going to go with that.
And that's what he did, and that was it's crazy to believe how we went from one tank to all of this.
Oh yeah.
And
you're
really
seeing,
not that long.
You're seeing this one.
yeah.
We're not even getting to all the rest of them.
Well, that being said, we did talk about that. So let's readjust everything and bounce down to this, because this here tank is probably, I'm going to say this a lot, but one of my favorites. The colors in this tank are beautiful.
It's an excellent stocking, and they're jealous right now because these guys got fed. And so we got to get to that too.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. All right, Pops. So jumping in the next tank here, what would you like to touch on and talk about?
This is my African cichlid tank. This tank is part of my double stacked 125s. So the bottom tank here, which I got into only, I believe, earlier this year or so, maybe towards the end of last year, I picked this up. But I wanted to try my hand at something a little bit different. I love the vibrant colors of this tank. The rockscape, again, the black substrate, black background. It's a very dramatic tank. The lighting is good. And then the stocking is yellow lab Mbunas, which are the yellow guys here with the black fins.
And we did pick those up.
We did.
Yep.
We got those from a guy who was getting out of the fish hobby.
Yep.
And I believe he wanted to travel more. So they had a motorhome sitting out front and all that. And they want to be able to go and travel. And that happens after years in the hobby. And this guy had a lot of years in the hobby. But sometimes it just gets that it's a lot going on. Excuse me. And they want to try and do other things. And, you can get time away from the hobby a little bit when you're leaving. There's ways to go about doing that for like vacation time and stuff. But there's no extended way to get out of it, to go do travel and things like that. So he did the right thing. He gave us a solid deal. Some of the stuff went to your house. Some of the stuff went to my house.
Yep.
I did get the yellow labs out of that situation.
They're absolutely stunning.
And I did get a little OB peacock here.
There's a special story. Well,
I mean, yeah, OB peacock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which also,
hi, buddy,
is another very pretty fish to have coloration wise. I love all the colors in this tank.
And I did get a couple fry from your tank too that I've been growing out in another tank, and they seem to be doing well, putting on some size. We have the pleco here, a common pleco. He came from another, I think it was a different one we ended up getting.
Yep.
Your 125.
Yep.
When we got the 125 from a guy who was getting out of it as well. Again, for travel reasons, they wanted to be able to spend time at the beach for a couple months at a time, and couldn't do that with all the fish in tow. So we do have the pleco down here, the yellow labs with the yellow and black. I have cobalt blues, which are going to be difficult to see because they're still on the small side, but these are Mbuna as well. So the cobalt blues and the red zebras here, the orange guys here are red zebra cichlids. They are Mbuna, so they're the rock dwellers. They stay on the smaller side. They're a little more aggressive, but um, I think the coloring is phenomenal. It's like
Yeah.
that sherbet kind of thing, the orange and the yellow. And my wife was very adamant about that. She saw it at Fish and Friends again. You know, they had a yellow and orange tank, and it was something to see. You know, watching them all swirl around like that. So we have those guys. Again, the cobalt blues are a little difficult to see, but they're very pretty fish as well. Then I have an Apache cichlid, which I believe is this guy here. So this with the orange head and the blue body with the black stripes. Hi, that's an Apache. And then this one's a sulfur head. This other blue guy here. He's another one that I
Very
got
beautiful fish. Very
fairly
beautiful
early.
fish.
So he's got some size to him.
I will say real quick, I just want to touch on
Yeah.
that your pleco blends in so well to the substrate. It's crazy.
Yeah. He's usually not out either. A lot of times he's in behind the rocks, like wedged up against the glass. Sometimes I've lost track of him or even gone in to check to see if he's even still, if he's good, because
Right.
he gets tucked back in there quite a bit.
Yeah, they love to hide, that's for sure.
I do have some yellow-tailed acai. They're the blue. Here we go. The darker blue, purple with the yellow tail. He's following my finger there.
Yep, let me.
So they are gorgeous fish, and I always wanted those from the beginning when I thought about, hey, I want to do an African cichlid. Oh, here's Opal.
So she made herself
Yeah.
appear. This is the inspiration behind my two. Was this guy getting one?
That is my green terror,
Yes.
and she doesn't get along with her Central American cichlid group
At all.
She fights with everybody. So she's in the African tank and has been doing really well in here. She has her space. Here we have the I think a emperor cichlid, red emperor. I believe that one is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I have a sunshine yellow cichlid back there too. That's also a peacock, sunshine peacock. So with the blue face, the yellow body, they're kind of flared out a little bit there in the back. She doesn't have quite as much color, but again, the dominant males in here are definitely the sulfur head and even the emperor red has gotten quite a bit of color on her as well. There is not showing in here. There is a red top hungai,
yep,
who is phenomenally colored.
Probably one of my favorite fish in this tank, just because I think that they're unique. They're definitely they're a neat coloring fish of their own.
Yeah, this
Different.
one was really impressive the way he colored up and changed color when again went to the dark substrate. He changed quite a bit, and he's an Mbuna, so he is tucked in here somewhere. He's something unique, red top hungai. Really aggressive though, so he doesn't. I haven't seen him out recently, but he doesn't so much.
Likes to hide every now and again.
He likes to maintain his space, and his space is in the rocks somewhere. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and feed these guys.
Yep.
Because they are anxiously waiting and jealous. So, put some of this in here. This is a good feeding tank too. So, I get them going, and then I'll get Opal her food.
Just absolutely hammering on them. Very good eaters.
She comes over here to get her food then.
Yep, there's Opal feeding. Or eating, I guess I should say.
Yeah. So Rockscape here was because it was a mixed tank.
Yep.
So Mbuna liked the Rockscape. They liked the caves, all the different areas, places to be able to break the site, get in and out of things. So a lot of rockscaping on the one side, more of like a little motel setup over here. But the peacocks and haps, I don't have any haps yet, but The peacocks and haps like more free open space to swim around. So I want to do a combo of both, give the Mabuta places to go, and then still have the open space available for, well, for Opal, the Pleco, and the peacocks, and if I do end up getting haps in here too, you know, the Mabuna will be eventually phased up to a different tank once I get that available. But I've already had the scaping and stuff done on that tank. It's currently the breeding setup that I wasn't expecting in a different situation, but
Which
they
we'll
will
get into
eventually,
again later.
yeah, they'll eventually get moved, so they won't all still be in here stocking for any of this other stuff. So I did miss one. She is a pearl, a pearl peacock, or I don't know, a little white silver thing. I saw her around here earlier. Oh, here she is. She's tucked in behind the rocks, and she goes up underneath and hides. But she's right back there. She was getting her food in, and then there she is, peeking out, a little face under the rock. There she goes. I like the white contrast with everybody else too, because it was one of those things that it gives that a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of color contrast. And she is a very vibrant white. So these are my two 125s. Kind of stark contrast between the two because you have the Central American cichlid river tank, and then you have the African rock, Mabuna and peacock tank as well, with the, obviously Opal because she's the way she is.
Different kind of.
It's like children. You got to kind of figure out how they're going to work, in situations that they have. Um, so that's what we have going on here with these two. There are several other tanks that we'll get into in future videos. We don't want to spoil anything ahead of time. There's some big tank, big glass project things coming about, and significantly larger amount of fish and tanks to get into. And look forward to having everybody with us.
Yep, definitely.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yep, see it. In my house after taking some much needed time, much enjoyed time as well with Pops. So, that being said, we did get to see a little bit of his things, a little bit of his um, creations, we'll put it that way, if you will. So, obviously, everything looks really, really good. We'll get into everything else that he has at a later date, but for now, we are just going to have those two tanks, and the rest is a surprise. But thank you so much for joining. Again, this is Garrett from Third Gen Aquatics. And of course, thank you, Pops, again for coming into the video. We're out of here. Have a great night.